damn thing. Be honest with you. To be honest with you, it's the same. All right. All kind of good leads and moves and stuff. But that's my fault. I'll fix that. All right. Break, what's going on, man? I wonder if your Jets recovered from the other day. Big problem down in New York, man. A lot of the Jets fans, they say Woody Johnson got to go. A lot of them say Aaron Glenn's got to go. You just need to clean the whole damn Jets organization. And worse than that, the quarterback you had last year is about to lead a new team into the playoffs. And all he has to do, after a performance like last night, 23 or 27, a little over 200 yards, that's a great performance for any quarterback, especially one that's old as Rodgers. And the thing is that they're in position now, still a game up over Baltimore. They got Detroit next week, which really don't mean a whole lot because that's an NFC game. Then you got Cleveland, which is a game they should win. And if they're able to get by Cleveland, then they have an opportunity to take on Baltimore to seal things up. So it's going to come down to the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game, no matter what happens. Now, I know who Pittsburgh is playing, but I'm not quite sure who the Ravens are playing. Or hell, they're going to catch hell too. They got New England this week at home. Then they go to Green Bay, and then they close at Pittsburgh. Now, here's the problem with that actually works out better for Baltimore, the schedule, because Green Bay, without Michael Parsons, that defense is going to change. And I just don't know how much it's going to change. Lee, KRB Gaming, how you doing, man? Now, boy, Brown, how we doing? That's going to change the dynamics of that game because we don't know what the Packers are going to do to try to replace Parsons. At this time of the year, there's really nowhere they can go. And I don't know what they can do to prevent that. So it's kind of an advantage for Baltimore, but we'll see if that's the case. Yeah, Break, we talked about it. A lot of Jets fans, if they didn't get the results they wanted from Aaron Rodgers, then they didn't want him there anymore. The guy threw for over 3,000 yards last year, so why would you get rid of that? Especially when you look back to the quarterbacks they had before Rodgers, Zach Wilson and what's the guy, and Sam Darnold. He didn't really do anything. It's just been rough going. But sometimes I think these organizations give up on players too soon. Rodgers was the guy, but people look at his age like he can't do it. And then you come in there and 4 plays into the season, you're gone. Then fans, they just turn. So there was really no way back for him at that point. But now, if Pittsburgh can get their defense together, which they played pretty well last night, they can cause a little damage. But I'm going to give you something, Break, and I'll tick a lot of people off, and it's still not out of the question yet. What if Rodgers gets to the playoffs, and then on the other side, he's faced off with the Colts led by Phillip Rivers. It'll be the first time in NFL history where you had two guys well over 40 playing quarterback, starting for two NFL teams. Can you imagine the storylines on that? It's not out of the question because the AFC South is still up for grabs. Jacksonville's got a 2-game lead on the Colts now. But they play the Colts not this week, but next week. Rivers is going to be another week in, and he's going to be sharper than he was last week. He had some timing issues. He's going to work that out by the time they get to Jacksonville. That can be a problem for Jacksonville. Houston is red hot right now. They don't have to play Houston. They already played them twice. But I think the Colts have to play Houston. So if they can knock Houston off and then knock Jacksonville off, then the Colts, they can still get back into this race. But it would be exciting to see those two old-ass guys get out there trying to play some football in the playoffs. All right, you brought me up. Yes, you are right. I mentioned this. Okay, Nick, VR113, how you doing? And Trevor Hill says, go Bills. All right, if you see that thumbnail I put out there, those were from two brawls that took place in high school sports up in Georgia, two high school football games. The first game was a preseason game between local teams, Macon Southwest and Northeast and Southwest or something like that. And then the last one was the playoff game between Gainesville High. Yes, they have a Gainesville in Georgia, and Brunswick. Now, let me add a note to that before I forget. Gainesville High, the Red Elephants, that's Deshaun Watson's high school. They came to Brunswick a couple of weeks ago, and they jumped all over Brunswick, and they beat them. They were up 42-0 with 2 minutes left. But the Brunswick players not being able to take it pretty much picked the fight and jumped on the dude, and the benches cleared. Well, what ended up happening was those two guys that started the fight, they got ejected. But 39 other guys from Brunswick were suspended. 35 guys on the other side were also suspended. Big problem. Because anytime you're in high school, you run onto the field, you're automatically suspended. Well, what ended up happening was, because Gainesville had to continue on to the playoffs, they would not have enough players to play. And because a lot of money is on the line here in these high school games, I know a lot of people don't think high school is very valuable, but there's a lot of money that's made from these high school games. If they had lost those 35 players, it wouldn't have been any need to play that game because they would have no chance to win. So what did the state do? They allowed these guys to play. And on the flip side, the Brunswick team that started the fight, they were through for the year, no problem, right? Those guys suspended, maybe they were seniors. No problem, right? That were ejected. But the big problem for Brunswick was they were sanctioned with no playoff berths the following season. Big problem, because the way the regions are set up in Georgia, you have to play everybody in your region, unlike what you have here in Florida. And if you win one regional game, more than likely you're going to make the playoffs because the regions are usually about 4 to 5 teams. So if you win one game, JC, how you doing? If you win one game, you're 9 times out of 10 going to the playoffs. So Brunswick not making the playoffs is a big deal. So what did the state do? Because Gainesville was allowed to get their players reinstated, the athletic director down here in Glenn County, he fought it along with the principal of Brunswick, and they got their playoff ban overturned, along with the other 39 players who were suspended. So all in all, what the bottom line is, out of this big fight, that's embarrassing to both participants. Only the two guys that got ejected really are reprimanded, and the schools are both faced with serious warnings. So what does that really mean? Not a damn thing. The point I'm trying to make here is high school sports has pretty much lost its way, in my opinion. Why do I say it lost their way? Because the players can transfer at will. What are we teaching the players when you can just pack up and go from high school? I thought high school was supposed to be about academics. But if they can move around and do what they want to do, who gives a damn about discipline and all the other stuff you're supposed to learn while you're in high school? I can go out and get into a brawl, and because it's going to cost my school down the line, my athletic director and principal, even though they might kick me out of school for 4 or 5 days, they're going to fight to get me reinstated so the school doesn't face backlash for my action. So what's going to happen next year after my 5 days? I'm going to be allowed to play football. Don't do that again, but you can still play. What is he learning? Not a damn thing. And you flip it to the other side, the coaches, they don't hold anything accountable. What are they doing? It's like in college where you have these coaches going out recruiting, trying to get their NIL things together. Well, you got the same thing now in high school. Coaches, by bylaws, aren't supposed to do any recruiting. So they're not stupid enough to go and contact players. But they got their players identified, and they send emissaries out to go do the recruiting for them. And when you look at these rosters, I might be from wherever at the top of the state, but I got 6 or 7 players playing on my roster from maybe 100, 200 miles away. What is the point? Why not call it professional high school sports? Players can get NIL now. There's no accountability. I mean, it's a wild, wild west, just like it is in college. So I'm asking, what is the point of high school sports if there are no restrictions? What are we teaching these kids if we're teaching them that, damn the rules. We can break all the rules. We can fight. We can do anything. So I just find it interesting that society, like everything else, high school sports included, is degrading, and it's worth noting. All right, Glenville is a dynasty, coach. I said Gainesville. I didn't say Glenville. You're talking about Glenville, Ohio, where Teddy, what's his name, played for Ohio State. Can't think of his last name. Ted Ginn, yeah. Ted Ginn, daddy. Yeah, that's Ohio. I'm talking about Gainesville, Georgia. He got into a fight with Brunswick, Georgia. Well, all these guys were suspended. It was actually 41 from Brunswick and 35 from Gainesville. And everybody got reinstated except for the 2 guys that got ejected. So I don't understand what was the point of all of that. All right, Andrew Dutch said, it's my birthday. I came to be Bethany, and I won't get into that. Selmo, what's going on, man? Cleveland going to bring, all right. I tell you what, the only BTA you're going to bring to the Steelers, Selmo, you're going to go to the store and you're going to get custom-made belts for all of us to wear after we kick off in the Browns' backside. You got problems, Selmo. I think what you need to do is go back to the drawing board and see what you're going to do for next year. First off, you got to figure out what you're going to do with your quarterbacks. Now, I pretty much called it all the way down the line, except for the fact that Deshaun Watson hasn't been activated yet, and he hasn't started. But I said at some point he's going to start a game or 2 for Cleveland this year, and everything else has gone according to form. But they did name Shador the starter for the rest of the season. Now, I know they played Chicago the other day in the cold. I don't know what he did. Let's see what he did the other day. Shador stats against the Bears. All right, let me see if I can find it. Versus the Bears, 51% completion, 177 yards and 3 picks for a 30.3 rating. That's not very good for somebody that they say was greatly improving from the first start. Well, they say Tennessee's supposed to have a great defense, but I don't think so. And he's going to struggle like a rookie, and that's what the Bears made him look like one. And the cold did not help anything. So what I am saying is that I'm still on track for Deshaun Watson, and he's already started practicing, and I don't know how much longer it's going to be before they activate him. But I'm telling you, Watson will play this year. You have to see what he can do so they can figure out what they need to do next year. Because if he's still on the roster and nobody's going to take that big salary he has, or they might if you sign in 40-year-old quarterbacks, and he'll have a spot somewhere. You may end up with the Colts. It all depends on if the Colts bring back Daniel Jones, but we don't know how long Daniel Jones is going to be out with his multiple injuries. So Watson could end up with the Colts. Watson's going to wind up somewhere. And it's going to be interesting to see just how the Browns handle this. I don't have any confidence that they're going to handle it in the best way. But Gabriel, he may be good third string quarterback. That can be serviceable. He can hang around for 10, 12 years in the league, make a living. And same thing with Sanders. And I just don't think right now that he's showing that he is the guy that they're going to keep. And I don't think they are going to keep him. And it's going to be interesting to see just what the Browns do. But Belt Daz, I don't think so, Selmo. You see what we did for the Dolphins last night? What the Dolphins have won, like 6 in a row, 5 in a row? Well, no more. But for whatever reason, they struggle when they come to Pittsburgh, and I don't know why that is the case. Just like when the Colts come to Jacksonville, they don't seem to play very well, and they end up they've lost 11 straight down here, and I find it interesting. Watson is better than most quarterbacks, and Selmo says Caleb played bad last year, just like Sanders this year. Yeah, they can build around him. I'm not saying that he's not it. I just don't think that Cleveland think he's going to be it. So he's probably going to end up somewhere else. Now, you got to have the right coordinator. You got to have the right system around you. Caleb wasn't bad. He just got to stop running for his life all the time. Just standing there and throw it. Same thing as you say about Jackson. He can't run all the time. Look at him now. He's starting to slow down from that running thing, but his passing has been improved. So he's still dangerous because he's gotten better as a passer. But you can't expect to run all the time and think that's going to always be the case. It ain't. What hasn't happened to him, he hasn't turned back into a big hit yet. And I'm waiting for that to happen. You keep on running, eventually you're going to get hit, and they're going to have to come get you. All right, with Parsons out, ACL's Green Bay Super Bowl hopes dead. I mentioned that earlier. They're going to have to find a way. They traded Clark to the Cowboys because of the Parsons thing. So that hurts them a little bit. I don't know what they can do at this point. Only thing they can do is scheme some pressure on the quarterback. If they can do that and score enough points, then Green Bay is still is dangerous. But I don't think they're going to make the Super Bowl this year, even if they kept Michael Parsons. I think the way the Rams are playing, it's going to be hard to beat the Rams this year. And if the Rams don't get there, I think Detroit will find a way to knock them off. That's the only way I see that happening. All right, reverse Nene Unk. What you talking about, man? Cold weather is the reason Miami is good, but not good enough to beat Pittsburgh. Well, whatever the case with Miami, losing last night pretty much eliminated them. So the clock is on for what the Dolphins are going to do with McDaniels. He's probably going to get fired, and they're going to shake up things down there. They're going to shake up things in Cleveland also, and a lot of teams are going to get shaken up. But let me cover this while I'm thinking about it. I mentioned on another video, I was on the bus coming from the game in Jacksonville the other day, and the fans on the bus started cheering. It got quiet. How fans get out to the game rowdy and stuff. Then it got quiet, and all of a sudden they broke out into a cheer. They weren't cheering because Jacksonville won the game. They were cheering because Kansas City lost. As you know, that eliminated them from the playoffs by losing to the Chargers the other day. But the real thing that they lost was Patrick Mahomes. He blew out his knee, just like Michael Parsons. A whole bunch of guys over the last several years been blowing out their knees. And it's not like they're getting hit, direct hit on the knee and blew it out that way, like what used to happen when I played, or fall on it wrong, or something happened that caused your knee to blow out. Now that's not the case. They're non-contact injuries, and they're blowing out their knees. So I want to ask you guys, what do you think is the reason for that? Is it these new playing surfaces that's causing these knees to go like that? Because, if you ever been on it, it's kind of like playing on a rug. And I wonder if that has anything to do with it. How do you feel about the new Heisman Trophy winner, Mendoza? I think he deserved the trophy. And it was set up for him to win it when they went to Penn State. Penn State was all over them that day. And anytime you're a championship team, there's something that you're going to have to overcome at some point. And if I'm a quarterback, and I said this as they were getting the ball, if I'm a quarterback and I'm as good as people are saying we are, and I'm worthy of winning the Heisman Trophy and playing for a national championship, all I want is the ball with a minute and a half on the clock with a chance to win it. Give me the football and let's go play. Gave it to Mendoza. They sacked him on the first play. You thought that was it. No. Drove him down the field, and he threw that perfect pass that only the pass could be put at that time. They caught that ball, and they won the game against Penn State. They call it a Heisman moment, but that let me know that if you want to win a national championship, you're going to have to beat Indiana. I never thought Ohio State was the best team. Yeah, they won it last year, but it didn't surprise me at all that they beat Ohio State. And if they played again, they're probably going to beat them again. Will they play again? No. I don't think Ohio State, I don't know how far they go. I can't say how far they go, but I don't think Ohio State's going to win it. The interesting question is who is going to match up in the semifinals? Before I get to that, let me catch up with these comments here. Navoya said they're going to build around Shador, and Deshaun is going to stay on the practice squad because of the money. No, you can't pay a guy that kind of money on the practice squad. They're gonna have to make a move with Watson one way or the other. They said the chief quarterback was having problems with his knee, and it just went out. Yeah, I didn't think he got hit anything, but normally I never blew out a knee, but I've had funny feelings before. All that usually take is maybe a couple of days rest, and you be back 100%. But most of the time, these guys go out with non-contact, and I'm starting to think that it has something to do with the playing surface. And it's got to play a big part some kind of way. Because if you play on natural grass, that's a whole lot better than playing on any kind of surface they can come up with. Now, I know with this rubber base field that they have, they came up with that because they were trying to figure out how to play soccer indoors. Because back in '94, I believe it was, the World Cup came to America, and they were using the indoor stadiums like the Silver Dome and the Superdome to play those games. And what they did, they couldn't figure out a way of how to get the surface right, grass indoors. And this is how they come up with this rubber-based surface. So it's been about 30 years now. Then the best thing they came up with is if you go to Arizona, that surface rolls out the door. So what they do after the games, they have natural grass, they roll it outside and they grow it out the door. When it's time for the game, they roll it in and they play it that way. Man, it's ingenious what they come up with. But that natural fake stuff that everybody's getting is causing people to blow their knees out. And until somebody tells me different, I just got to believe that. Okay, the guy who tackled Mahomes' helmet took him out. Okay, I didn't see that. But I know Michael Parsons, he had a non-contact injury. They need soft turf to break the falls. Yeah, I can see that. We hope they keep working on that surface, but right now it just doesn't. It's not conducive to long-term play or health play for your knees. So I asked the question: that is Rodgers going to take the Steelers to the playoffs? Most of you are saying yes. Pittsburgh is actually set up to get there. They got the Browns. They should beat the Browns. It's going to be a hell of a game with Detroit next week. Pittsburgh has struggled against the NFC North this year. They beat Minnesota, but they lost to Chicago and they lost to Green Bay. It'll be another tight one. But Detroit is in a desperate situation now. They can't afford no more setbacks, neither can Pittsburgh, so it should be a hell of a game. But even if Pittsburgh lost, it doesn't really hurt them because that's a non-conference game. Detroit is also a non-conference, but they can't really afford it. Pittsburgh going to have Baltimore, and that game is going to determine who wins the division because you expect Pittsburgh to get by Cleveland. But then again, not really, because Pittsburgh got a history of losing games like this to teams like the Browns. So the Browns, they won't be going to the playoffs, but like Selmo say, they might just put BTA to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh got to be ready for that, knowing what's on the line, especially if they get by Detroit next week. But Baltimore, they got their own problems. New England's going to be pissed off after blowing that big lead to Buffalo the other day. So they got that in common with Baltimore. Both of them blew big leads to the Bills. But at this time of the year, Baltimore cannot afford to not have a good game against New England. They have to win this game against New England. And then going to Green Bay to boot, it's very possible that they can lose both those games. And if they do, then Pittsburgh don't have as much work as we think they do. But Pittsburgh's definitely got the easier road there. But I wonder what Green Bay is going to do without Parsons and trying to get pressure on Jackson. That could be daunting when you don't have enough people to actually try to do it. All right, let's see what else we got here. Break says tackle on the play. I'm going to go and look at it again. I didn't see the helmet. And then he soft the turf to break falls. Okay. I don't know what this guy. Okay, I see what's going on. It's the same jerk that was on here before. Got nothing else to do but come up here and try to bother me. But no problem. I won't even respond. But anyway, I think Aaron Rodgers is doing great. And I think Phillip Rivers is going to do better than what he did this game. He almost had the Seahawks beat. There were a couple of throws he had that were wide open that he missed. And that's because his timing was off with his receivers. So his timing should improve this week. And then when he plays Jacksonville in the next week, then they have an opportunity to make some noise. And Jacksonville, as well as they're playing right now, they hadn't sealed up anything yet. And they're going to have to keep playing. But I will say this, if Lawrence keeps playing the way he's been playing lately, then the Jaguars can put themselves up in a position where they're going to be hard to beat. And that's saying a lot from where they were last year. I gave the Jets fans hell because, you know, the Jaguars and the Jets were one of 4 teams vying for that top draft choice last year. Here, Jacksonville is in first place, while the Jets are pretty much in the same position they were in last year. At the end of the season, you should rate the rookie quarterbacks. Yeah, I think that's what Cleveland is doing, but I don't think Stefanski is going to be around long enough to make a decision on who gets to stay for the Browns. I think that the owner's probably already got his ducks lined up for what he wants to do next. But Stefanski, whether he's a scapegoat or not, all this stuff going on with the quarterback situation, it all falls on him. It makes him look bad no matter what. And I think he's going to be the fall guy for whatever takes place in Cleveland. All right, JC says, I guess Jerome Moore marriage is okay. They say his wife knew about the affair he was having. Yeah, well, I talked about that the other day, but the thing with that is, you know, a lot of couples have these open relationships. And as long as her bills were getting paid and all of that, maybe that's all she cared about. Maybe hell, maybe she can't have sex. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why couples have these agreements. So if she wasn't tripping, we're only tripping because of the high profile position he has. But the real thing that he needs to be concerned about is a relationship with his wife. So if she knew about the relationship, she probably stamped off on it. Maybe their relationship is open. So it don't seem like it was any big deal to me because she's not running away from it. But I still think, though, he suck it out. Once the chick broke it off with him, he shouldn't went anywhere around him. But to my understanding, he was forced to make a decision about what to do with him, which also lets you know that Michigan knew all along what was going on. He had to either fire her or move her to a different department. I would have just moved her to a different department. But he decided to fire her. So what did she do? Came back at him and told what was going on. And because it became more of an open thing, other than 1 or 2 people knowing about it, now a lot of people knowing about it. So now Michigan had no choice but to react. And he finds out that she did that. So now he's hot. He's going to see her. He's calling her. She won't answer the phone. So I know where you live. He goes to the house. Big mistake. So now he just made a bad situation worse. Now everybody's running him through the mud about cheating on his wife and all that, but evidently they have some kind of open relationship arrangement. So that's why it's not good for us to speculate on what's going on with his wife behind closed doors. I don't think I ever did that, but I did say that what he was doing by going to her house was the wrong thing to do. and I'm going to stand by that. So, all right. But yeah, she knew about it, JC. And I think once he gets past this legal issue, he's going to get some of his cause money back because the woman, after being fired, she got reinstated. So she keeps her job, but he loses his. So if that's the case, then how the hell is she able to keep her job? You don't make any sense to me. So because of that, I think with a good lawyer, he's going to come back and he's going to get some of that money. And once he gets his name cleared, he'll go to some small college somewhere, but he'll eventually get another job somewhere. It won't be high profile like it is now. Maybe 10, 15 years from now, he's still going to have that on his resume. He's got a national championship on his resume. You know, all these people care about what can you do for us? You won before? Okay. You've learned from your mistakes? Okay. Bobby Petrino, same situation. He had a problem with his wife. He's got a job. So why Sharon Moore can't get a job? So you haven't seen, in my opinion, the end of Sharon Moore. He will come back. He just got a lot of stuff he got to straighten out right now. And the biggest issue he had to worry about was his wife. And if she's in his corner, she stamped off on a relationship, he's in better position than we thought he was. But he just got to get past this legal stuff right now. But that's all I got to say about that. All right. I still think Sharon can help Dion in the bus program. Well, that's a very good statement there, Selmo. I'm saying that because Dion, I don't think he's long for Colorado anymore. I don't think his heart is there. And then when you add to the fact with his health problems, he may resign at any time. But I know myself, after seeing what's been going on all these years with other people, once they start to get sick, it don't get any better. And if I'm having issues with cancer and anything else, I'm gone. Because I don't want to be on the sidelines and have to be carried out. I can't go out like that. Yeah, his wife's going to get paid either way. And this is why I say that the university, they're going to have to pay him something. Because when you get fired for cause, they don't owe you anything else. So he lost $14 million on that buyout. And he's going to have to go fight for that. He may not get it all, but he's going to get some. And his leg he has to argue with is they kept that woman on staff. And if she's worthy of being a job and she's involved in this egregious situation, then you can't say you fired me for cause. Because what I did on the field is completely different from what's going on behind the scenes. All right, I have just one thing to say. God is good and he loves you. Well, we appreciate that at 55 football. All right, I got to get up out of here, break. Selmo, JC, as always, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I finally bit the bullet. I'll let you guys know that I'll go to the TikTok now. So if you want to check me out on TikTok, it's the Sports for Real right now. It's not with the Coach Hall, just Sports for Real, the same way as the other thing is spelled. It's just without all the coach stuff. So I put a video out there, and I just drop a short video every day just to see if I like hanging out with TikTok, just to do something a little bit different. So if you want to check me out, come on over to TikTok and see what I got going on. I've always said I believe Sanders wants to be with his son. He plays better when his father's with him. Yeah, perhaps, but like I say, that we don't know what the Browns are going to do, so it wouldn't make sense for Dion to sign with somebody just for that opportunity because his son might not be available for him to play with him. You know, Cleveland's not going to give him a job, so I don't know where he could go that those two can link up together. But like I say, I don't think Dion is long for Colorado because of his health problems. Now, he probably don't want to go out like he did this year. If he does come back, this probably be his last year because he wants to win and go out on his own terms. So, but one last thing about Dion, came out, the guy Pavia played quarterback for Vanderbilt. Well, he was going to sign with Dion to go to Jackson State, but he said Dion told him that he had no chance to play quarterback over his son. Even if his son got hurt, he didn't have any chance to take that job. So that's why Pavia went to New Mexico and became a starter there, and that led to him going to Vanderbilt. So it worked out good for him because Dion told him straight up. Now, he didn't have to tell him anything. He could just say, come on in, you're going to have a chance to compete. But no, you can't win a job against my son no matter what. Maybe other coaches would feel the same way, but I know one thing: other coaches wouldn't have told Pavia that you weren't going to play straight up. And we have to give Sanders credit for that. But at the same time, you're holding yourself back by now not opening it up for competition because maybe you had something better than what you thought you had. But like I said before, 3, 4 years ago, or 5 years ago, however long it's been, Deion was only doing that to make sure his son's got a good shot. And that was backed up by what Pavia had to say about not having a true chance to win the job at Jackson State. So take that with you. All right. Can't get any worse than Cleveland. You're right. I think Cleveland's going to be all right. Jets are going to be all right. These things go in cycles. And Kansas City, while they might be dead now, they're going to be back. The question is, will Andy Reid be back? If Andy Reid is back, they're going to find another tight end to replace Kelsey, and the Chiefs going to be back. But that's my thought on that. But anyway, I got to go up out of here and go sign in, man. So the last thing I got to say is 57% of you say that Rodgers will take the Steelers to the playoffs. I agree. They got the easiest road between them and Baltimore. All they got to do is finish. If they can't finish, they don't deserve it. And then if they blow this, then I think it's time for Tomlin to move on. So take that with you. In the meantime, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Unless there's some breaking news, I'll catch you in the morning. Until then, this is Sports for Real, man. I'm out.